This is the Bat Flip Podcast. Now here's your host, Damian, David, and Matt. Welcome in, everyone, to another quick flip episode. Damian and Matt with you here as we got some breaking news on Thanksgiving Eve here as Dylan Cease has agreed to join the Toronto Blue Jays on a 7-year, $210 million deal. This completely came out of nowhere. There was not even any rumors that his market was heating up. Nothing, just straight John Heyman breaking Dylan Cease to Blue Jays, 7 years, $210 million. So Matt, I know as we were getting ready for the Thanksgiving holiday here, had to jump on and do a quick episode. But what do you feel about, we all had the Blue Jays signing a starting pitcher in our free agency predictions. So what do you think about Dylan Cease being that guy? I'm not sure any of us had him actually as the one going there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very interesting. The lineup, the pitching rotation for the Blue Jays is very right-hand heavy right now. You've got, after this signing, you're going to have Gausman, Cease, Yasavage, Barrios, and Bieber. It's all right-handers. Yeah. And but it kind of fits the archetype they've got. Gausman's a hard thrower, throws a good split. Dylan Cease is a little different, throws that curveball. You got Trey Yasavage, throws that hard thrower, throws a split. Shane Bieber, has really good stuff. I mean, it's these right-handed pitchers, and they've had some success with it. And that rotation starting to look really good. I think it's a good deal. Good big time help for the Blue Jays. I think he's going to fit well there. It's just kind of came out of nowhere. It was very surprising.
Yeah, it really did. And looking at our free agency predictions, I had him for 5 for 162. David had him 5, 165. You had him at 6, 180. So you nailed the AAV. He just got that extra year than we were expecting there. But I mean, I think it's a great fit, right? Like, we saw the Blue Jays need more pitching. Dylan Cease is one of the most reliable pitchers out there in the market right now. I mean, he's got over 165 innings every year since 2021. And even then, like, people look at his 4.55 ERA this year, but the peripherals back it up. I mean, back that he was better than that 4.55 ERA by a whole run value, basically. He strikes a lot of people out. He's going to have his walk issues, but I mean, I think it's a durable arm that strikes a lot of people out now. You're going to get some volatility, but you get that with most starters nowadays anyways. So I really, really like this fit. Maybe they could have got a left-hander, but I mean, Cease is one of the top arms, if not the top arm on the market. You just made it to the World Series. This shows that you're committed to big name hunting and to going and trying to improve your chances to get back. Maybe if they had better starting pitching in this World Series, they would have won. Right? That's one of their things. They kind of lacked depth of starting pitching. This shows they're going out there and trying to fill that need.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned a couple points there on Dylan Cease. The 3.56 FIP versus the 4.55 ERA is a really big difference. And I think a little bit of luck had to play into that. The Padres had some good defense, but they also had some really bad defense in some places. So it was kind of a weird team defensively behind him. But he definitely was, effective this year, although maybe the results weren't quite what he wanted. The process was there for sure. And one other little note on Dylan Cease is he's very durable. He has made at least 32 starts, I believe,
since 2021.
And the season before that was the COVID year, and he made 12 starts. So he's been incredibly durable. Always strikes a lot of guys out. And, sometimes when pitchers get into their early 30s, sometimes they're able to improve on that walk rate a little bit too. And that's something I think you could see with him. I'm sure the Blue Jays have probably pitched a good plan to him on how to help him out. And I think that this could end up being a really good fit for a team that, you look at the Blue Jays and, this is a team that has shown a little bit of a pattern now of spending some money over the last few off seasons. And this is a World Series contender, I think, next year again. Unless they got a few holes on offensively that they still need to plug in, especially the hole left by Bo Bichette. But this is a team that they got a really good pitching staff now, and Cease is going to add to that. And it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here in the offseason.
Yeah, so right before we jump to what is next for the Blue Jays, real quick, one other thing I want to point out is if you look at Cease's numbers, his home run to fly ball rate and his home run per nine this year just jumped a gigantic amount, right? Like in 2024, his home run to fly ball rate was about 9%. This year was almost 12. Home runs per nine the past 3 years, 2022, 2023, and 2024, 0.78, 0.97, 0.86. 2025, 1.13, right? That is a big time jump that is just not that you see obviously some positive regression coming back to Dylan Cease, I believe. Now, going to a more hitter friendly ballpark, maybe in Toronto with the new dimensions compared to San Diego. Who knows there? But I just think that there's baseline numbers there where two of those seasons were with the White Sox, which is, a decently hitter's ballpark as well. I just think there's some definite positive regression there that will come back to the home run rate, which could be an indicator of why that ERA was so high this year.
Yeah, it could definitely be a thing. Out of the three true outcomes, strikeout, walk, home run, the home run is the one that's always the most volatile.
Yep.
It's difficult to, you can give up a lot of hard hit balls, and a few of them just happen to be wall scraper home runs, and it changes that rate by a lot. I'm with you on that, and I don't think that Toronto is necessarily a crazy hitter's park. It's not like you're going to Cincinnati or going to Colorado or something like that.
It's played a little bit more hitter friendly since the new dimensions, though.
It probably is, and it's definitely more hitter friendly than San Diego.
Yeah.
But it's not it's I don't think it's something where it's going to be a real detriment to him that he's going to give up more home runs because he's there. I think you'll see a little bit of positive regression. I would assume his home run per nine rate would end up, around one per nine. Is probably where he'll end up kind of stabilizing. But
as Giancarlo Lover here says, I don't think they're gonna get. I don't think anyone's getting Skubal. But they might need a lefty, but it's just hard to see how that maybe fits in now. I figured if it was going to be that, it would be, a Framber or Ranger Suarez. You would have spent that money on that left-hander, that pitcher. Maybe you maybe could. I just don't think it's Skubal. I don't think Skubal goes anywhere this year. The Tigers would be not smart to trade Skubal. They should just
Yeah, lefty would be interesting. They might go with one of the under the radar type lefty signings, maybe as a 5-starter, just so for a matchup purposes. If they have a really tough,
they still have Lauer.
I was gonna say, but remember they still have Eric Lauer who can start, and they also have Ricky Tiedemann, and sitting there. Yeah. We don't know what that's going to end up looking like. He's had so many injury issues and everything, and been in AAA, but he's a high end prospect. So, they've got him sitting there too. I would assume they might add a little bit of depth there, but I don't think they're going to go after one of the top lefties on the market at this point.
Still have Bowden Francis too, down there.
Yeah.
All right, but real quick, before we head off here, what is next for the Blue Jays? Obviously, we talked about the whole with Bo Bichette. We have heard that they've been in the Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger market, that upper echelon and outfield market. What do you think they should do next?
I think there's a lot of versatility here. They just need to add another bat. They need to replace the offensive production of Bo Bichette. They have guys that can play shortstop. Andres Jimenez could slide right over there and be perfectly fine, way better defensively than Bo Bichette was. And, Ernie Clement can play second. So I think that would be fine. I definitely think that just finding a really good bat at some point is going to be crucial for them. And Cody Bellinger, Kyle Tucker would both be good options. I don't know what the Blue Jays' upper limit on their spending is going to be. Kyle Tucker might be a little bit far-fetched after this signing, but I think a Cody Bellinger could make a lot of sense. They've been on him before. We'll see, though. It's going to be very interesting. I definitely think they probably need to add a little bit of bullpen help and definitely just replace Bo Bichette's offensive production with somebody. Maybe not quite as good as Bo Bichette, but they need to bring somebody in to handle some of that load. Because if you look at their lineup right now, it's not incredibly deep with offensive firepower. So
you're going to need some sort of a bounce back from Santander as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That could easily be a place that you get an uptick in production, anyways. But yeah, you are right. You could play Barger at third. You could, you can get an outfielder. Then you're dealing with Santander and Springer, like DH duties, giving them each days off, Nathan Lukes as well. So it'll be interesting to see. But this definitely came out of nowhere. I think it's a great deal for the Blue Jays. It's going to be very interesting to see where they move on from here. And how does this affect the rest of the starting pitching market now? Is this market higher than what we thought, you think?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's kind of hard to look for a pattern when you've got one signing. I mean, it might just be that teams really thought highly of Dylan Cease, especially with his stuff, and the like we mentioned earlier, the difference in his results and peripherals. He's probably getting more paid for the the process there and the peripherals being really good. I mean, it obviously adds some desperation to teams that really need a starter because one's gone off the market. One of the options is gone. That's a big deal. And the other thing, too, is the Blue Jays probably had to pay up to get him early in the offseason. I think if you wait a little while, the prices might come down a little bit because the players starting to get a little antsy about needing to sign. So, getting him to – since there's no wait, there's no reason to wait. There's no reason for urgency at this point if you're the players. You can just wait. Somebody will give you the money. And, I think they probably paid him more.
We lose you. Think we lost Matt there.
I'm back.
Okay, you're back now.
My phone internet here is not perfect.
You're fine. It is worth, right before we sign off, it is worth mentioning this is a Scott Boras client. So this is another one that we saw Blake Snell last year. Scott Boras client jumped on the market early as a starting pitcher. Dylan Cease now also jumping on the market is right around the same time too. I think Snell was the 27th or something last year, or 29th, somewhere right around there.
I think this feels like very similar deals too.
Yeah,
with just the amount of AAV, the type of pitcher they are, very similar.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting. But that is another Quick Flips episode. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys back on the next one.